aware of these happenings. Because only if we all come together, only when we all understand, realize the depth of these attacks that is happening, only that will wake us up to the reality of what we see. From the 15th of August, we showed you how just the last 5 days, continuously the demolishing of Kailasa Trishulam has been happening. The demolishing of that whole temple monastery campus has been happening. And we had Ma Bhaktika Swami, who was sharing with us about
Yes.
how the attacks had happened, how the anti-Hindu elements had barged into the campus, how they broke everything out there.
And that too, Ma, it was on a
And
national
how the
holiday.
whole attack broke out in Kailasa Trishulam. Every one of you that are sitting here, as we prepare ourselves to receive the darshan, let us prepare ourselves with the right knowledge, with the right awareness of what is happening to Hinduism. What exactly we as
The whole thing.
Hindus, what sacrifice an avatar needs to make, and what is our current status today. Joining with me in this segment is also Ma Nithya Bhaktikananda. And Ma Bhaktika, you were sharing about how the Kailasa Trishulam was attacked and how the anti-Hindu elements, despite the land belonging to us legally, despite your grandmother giving it to the supreme pontiff of Hinduism, how the attacks have been happening relentlessly just to get that, just to get that land under the control.
The latest attack, Ma, if you see, it has happened on the 15th of August. It's a national holiday. And we had, if you see those pictures, the entire police rung and the entire revenue rung, the DRO, the RDO, the Tahsildar, the revenue inspector, and the entire police rung on a national holiday, that too 15th of August for India, Independence Day. They are all there just with the JCB machines. They come and not even one word they are telling the sannyasis there why they have come, what for they have come. There is no inquiry, there is nothing. They straight away go to the compound wall, and if you watch those videos and see those photographs, they have just heartlessly, they've just broken the entire meters and meters of compound wall. And there was a little bit of the shed material, everything they've just thrashed down with the JCB. And the people there, the Hindu Mesic, the anti-Hindu people who are in hand in glove with them, they're just watching the whole thing. I mean, there are people living there. The sannyasis are living there. There is a temple happening there. And Bhagwan, Swamiji has, how many times Swamiji has restored the infrastructure in Trishulamadinam after so many attacks. After every attack, they raise it to a pile of debris. The same thing they did in 2017 June. And Bhagwan put the whole thing up again, the compound wall, the infrastructure. They just, 2017 June, every single infrastructure, including the the kitchen items, were thrashed, broken. Everything Bhagwan put back in place, just for the one word that he had given to Annapurni, my grandmother. I mean, sometimes I think, why? I mean, would any person go to this extent, and then and then only you wake up to he is who he is, Paramashiva. No human being will ever do this for any other human being, even if
And
it
we
is
can
their
see,
own
Ma, how
mother,
this,
father.
yes, absolutely. And we can see here how this temple monastery campus, we can see the deities of Kailasa Trishulam. We can
Ma,
see
they're
how the
beautiful. Ma,
Gola
Bhagwan has
and
placed the most beautiful deities there, Ma. There's a beautiful Dakshinamurti and
absolutely. We can see here the whole temple. The deities are huge. It's a full-fledged temple and a Kailasa that is functioning. We can also see how sannyasis were conducting the Annadan, the Go Puja, and where they
Yes.
take care of the cows. They serve free food, Annadan. We can see here the free distribution of food, organic sattvic meals that are happening there in Kailasa Trishulam. And we can see how people are greatly benefiting from that whole thing. It is not just an independent monastery campus. Here we can see a program happening in Kailasa Trishulam. We can see how the whole thing is a full-fledged monastery. We can see the homas happening, the grand setup, how this whole thing, the same campus that was razed to grounds just in 2017, again from the scratch, Swamiji built it back and is running it as a full-fledged Kailasa, which has again been targeted and attacked in 15th of August 2019. But my question here is this
2020,
happening just, sorry, 15th of August 2023? But
2023,
my question
just a few days ago.
is it just happening this year, last year, or 2 years ago? This is the attack that has been going on Swamiji just for standing up for Hinduism from decades ago. Every Hindu guru, like we shared with you all, every Hindu guru is strategically targeted by the anti-Hindu Hindu music elements, and they're isolated, demonized in the eyes of public, and they are very carefully eliminated from the public. Go back, Google, check your histories. Each of you will see today so many gurus who were murdered in front of our eyes have been erased from the public eyes. They have been erased from the public memory. Even when incidents like Palgar mob lynching happened, we will be talking about that in sometime very soon. Even when incidents like this happen, where in front of our eyes there's a brazen mockery to justice itself, we can see all this happening right in front of our eyes. But this, there might be some talks about it for a few days in social media, and after that the public moves on. That is the unfortunate current reality of the world today. But it is our responsibility to remind the world again and again of what tyaga, what all our Hindu gurus have been through, what our Swamiji has been through, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been through. Yesterday, I was sharing with you all how Swamiji was being chased continuously from one place to another, one place to another. 45 hours had passed. It was a complete, like a full on chase from one place to another. Every single campus that they calculated, the anti Hindu elements calculated that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism would go through, they had already placed their henchmen there and they had started destroying it. The next place that they targeted was Embalam Adinam, Kailasa in Embalam, which is present day in Tamil Nadu. And we can see how the whole Kailasa Embalam was razed to grounds. Literally, the whole Adinam, the moment the anti-Hindu element, the Hindu music elements targeted, and the moment they realized that Swamiji could be going there, that is the next route that is possible, they placed the anti-Hindu elements there. They placed the henchmen there with all the weapons that are needed to attack. All the disciples were brutally attacked. This same Adinam that served thousands of people, Swamiji himself personally used to visit that Adinam, conduct programs that used to serve thousands of people, was razed to grounds. I can't even describe the kind of violence that broke out. How the anti Hindu terrorists were furious and they came there for attacking Swamiji. Their only demand was one thing: where is Swamiji? They just wanted to know where Swamiji is. If you all notice, these are all not the common public. They always try to portray to us as if it is the common public. They always try to portray to us as if it is just one or two, it is not just one or two people here and there. It is the common public who wants to attack Swamiji. They show as if the whole public mass hates Swamiji, which is the biggest lie that they told. And unfortunately, that time social media was not as prevalent as it is today, 10 years ago, 13 years ago. And at that time, just to make public believe that there's mass hatred on Swamiji, they sent hired henchmen and goons who are all charge sheeted rowdies. And each of these goons and henchmen were placed into the monastery campuses for them to beat and destroy the campus, beat our sannyasis. And these were live aired. We can see the hatred, and we can see how they are trying to spew that hatred and feed that into the public. I just can't bear to even see this as I talk to you all. Just imagine if if they would have gotten hands on Swamiji, what would have happened? They just needed a reason. They wanted to make this as a news. There was no complaint. Mind you, all of you should know there was no complaint. There was no victim. There was no crime that happened. And yet there was continuous attempts of assassination. The whole Adinam was being destroyed. This was being published in the newspapers. The same anti Hindu media mafia channel followed him for 2,300 kilometers all the way to Kumbh Mela in Haridwar. Ma Bhaktika, how was it at that point in time? I know you were in Bidadi at that point in time when this whole attack broke out, and how Swamiji was in his own quarters. Swamiji was there was an assassination attempt. I can't even muster the courage to tell how they did this to Swamiji, how they had burnt the quarters and they had locked Swamiji in that very place. And when you were all there, how was it for you? What was happening there?
I mean, that's one thing I would never want to go back to, Ma. Every time I go back to it, uh, it just gets more and more gory. Swamiji is our breath, our lifeline. We just couldn't, I mean, we were just frozen in our tracks. We didn't know what to do. And the police and everyone was just standing and watching. They were not allowing us to go. We didn't know anything about Swamiji, whether we didn't know whether we would what was happening to him. I mean, the entire Adi Kailash was burning. We couldn't believe, actually, we were just too shocked. The morph video was one, and then in 2 days morning, this whole thing just lands on us. I mean, we couldn't even imagine. We were actually completely frozen in our tracks. We didn't know what to do. Bhagwan's quarters was burning. Then, I mean, what is happening inside? What is going on inside? It was just like, what to say? The whole thing was, first of all, so new to us. This whole concept of the attack was so new to us, and we couldn't believe that they were actually trying to kill Swamiji. I mean, first of all, we didn't know what to do, because it was too huge, and when they want to get Swamiji's life, then your brain stops working. You don't know what to do, and they're too powerful. They're so powerful. And we were that's the first time we were being exposed to even such a huge attack. And for us, more than anything else, the property being burnt, everything being burnt, our mind froze, because we didn't know what was happening to Swamiji inside his quarters. People were expecting us to respond to the situation of Adi Kailash burning, but your brain is not functioning, because you don't know what is happening to Bhagwan. If your breath is pulled off and you're expected to function, your source is gone. You don't know where your source is. You don't know what's happening to him. Everything else burning in Adi Kailash just faded into insignificance for us. It was
I
like,
can actually
It was like your whole world has come to an end. Then how does anything else matter?
I can understand
And at
what
that time,
amount of pain it would have been through. Go ahead, Ma. Sorry, please go ahead. Please continue.
and even every time I recall that, even though I know Bhagwan is well today, it doesn't seem to matter when that scene comes back. I mean, first of all, the whole attack was unbelievable. But we never even dreamt that they were after his life. Yes, they wanted to defame, they wanted to do whatever nonsense they wanted to do, but we didn't know they were after his life, his body. That was a huge, uh, that was really huge for us. And we were not trained legally, we were not trained in all these things at that time. We were just happily, peacefully living in Adi Kailasa around Bhagwan. It was too rude. I mean, and we were not even trained how to deal with the situation. And if the core of the situation was Bhagwan being burnt, then nothing else mattered. What if the property got burnt? What if everything was razed to the ground?
And most importantly, I can totally understand what exactly you are going through right now, because even now, just this pain of not having humanity, not being able to access Swamiji, living around in Swamiji's breathing space. But at that point in time, you didn't even know if Swamiji was there, what has happened to Swamiji, all that the disciples saw. Imagine your loved one, the one that you are living for, and suddenly, all of a sudden, you just see that person getting locked up in a room, and that whole house is set ablaze. You don't know what is happening. You want to go and save. There are thousands of us standing, ready to give our life to go there, but we were not allowed to go there. And that assassination was being live streamed everywhere on all social media, all the media channels. And you all should know this assassination attempt, the whole media puts the whole assassination attempt live on all the channels. And when they realize somehow one of the sannyasis, well, all the other sannyasis, we can just see the state of Ma Bhaktika who was there physically, even just to remember that, you can see the impact that it is having in her. And I'm so sorry, Ma, that you have to go through this again. I know how painful it is. But
actually, many times when people talk about this, I just switch off inside because I won't be able to handle it. Because, I mean, it is not even like you said, imagine one of your own people being, locked inside, burnt inside. It was then, later when we, thought about it, we understood what Bhagwan really meant to us. It's not even like your own kith and kin. He's like beyond everything else for you in your life. We were living around him, not even realizing the depth uh, of Bhagwan in us. It was like,
and
I'm not even able to describe what he meant to us at that point in time, what we woke up to. We didn't realize it was so our very being.
just imagine seeing our Swamiji, his whole quarters was set ablaze. And there was a barbaric, brutal attempt to burn the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism alive. All the local national media covered the burning of SPH alive in his own residence. And you all need to know, the media made a mockery out of this. Humanity has become so insensitive, so brutal, that we lock up a person alive and we just mock about it. The media was trying to speculate the whole thing by saying, is Swamiji inside? And right after that, they took the camera under the pretext they tried to find out where Swamiji's body was. I mean, I I am so sorry. I have no words to tell this, and I neither have the courage to talk this. The whole thing, the very same people who are supposed to protect the law and order were standing there and making a brazen mockery of justice, a parody on humanity itself. Not a single person, not one person of all those who attempted to burn the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism alive was arrested. Not a single person, not a single complaint was filed. Many of our sannyasis went and pleaded. You all should know. Somehow, one of the sannyasis jumped in through the backside window, the bathroom window, and they were somehow able to take Swamiji alive outside, somehow carry out Swamiji to safety. It didn't just end here. When all of the sannyasis went and pleaded, when all of them went and asked, begged for a complaint to be filed, just so that we can arrest, we can bring justice to what has happened, not a single complaint was filed, let alone filing a complaint. The whole media channel, all the media made a mockery out of the whole thing by bombarding the headlines next day. Every media channel screamed in hate speech. They put a headline next day saying, Godman vanishes into thin air using black magic. After attempting to burn Swamiji alive, when they could not find Swamiji's body there.
The extent to which they went, what meets the eye is so inhuman. But what people don't know, what didn't meet their eye, is more inhuman. You know, they actually froze our bank accounts. Where would we get the money from to live? They ensured they didn't leave one stone unturned to destroy Swamiji and his mission and to kill him. They froze our bank accounts. To what extent can they even think? I mean, isn't there no limit to how inhuman you can think? What did Swamiji do to you? And it was so, and you cannot freeze a bank account just like that. It is completely illegal. The whole paranoia for us was, if things were going legally, then we had some hope, but nothing that was going was legal. Right from burning of Adi Kailasa to chase they gave Swamiji, to trashing all the properties, to freezing all our bank accounts so that we will not have money, and they thought everyone will go away because there will not be any money. And then they impounded Bhagwan's passport. Nothing went, and then we applied for an anticipatory bail. Even for a person who has committed a murder, he is given an anticipatory bail so that he will have that security for him to represent. And here is Bhagwan. They're denying a bail for him. And they beat up all the Adinavasis. They outrage the modesty of the female sannyasis. I mean, isn't there no limit to how, I mean, what has Bhagwan done to you? Except heal you, except give you spiritual health, except being there for you when even your own family will not be there. He has done everything for you. Why will you have so much of hatred? That too towards him. I mean, nothing was adding up in our mind. We didn't even know why they were attacking with so much of vengeance. Because Bhagwan or us, we have not done anything to anyone except serving. I have seen 20 years, Bhagwan's hard work. Right from even before Adi Kailasa started.
Exactly. And seeing, and especially knowing that from the scratch, the only thing that Swamiji did was give to humanity. The only thing that Swamiji literally lived every second of his life was to gift to humanity. Just gift
Ma, and you know
everything
the
just
extent
to
to which they
humanity.
went, Ma, they actually at one point in time they put a curfew saying that we cannot, no, we cannot group up, like congregate within our own ashram. So we just had to, inside our own ashram, we could not talk to each other. They put a curfew like that. I mean, it was just taken to unbelievable extremes. And they
And
kept in, and
each of
not only
you,
that, Ma, Bhagwan's arrest, the whole thing was illegal. The entire arrest of Bhagwan was illegal. We had gone for an anticipatory bail, and we are in the court, and our lawyer is presenting for the anticipatory bail because Bhagwan, we know very clearly what they are after. Only now we are waiting to see what next.
imagine if someone, a person who you love, a person who has dedicated their entire life for you, in front of your eyes, you see so much of injustice happening to them and you can't do anything about it. That was the state of every single sannyasi like Ma Bhaktika who were there on that day in the campus. Right after this, the media didn't end here. The whole attack didn't end here. The anti-Hindu media mafia followed Swamiji, chased Swamiji for the next 2,300 kilometers all the way to Kumbh Mela in Haridwar. Despite all of these attacks that were happening, despite the entire media witch hunt that was happening, just to keep his commitment alive as a Mahamandaleshwar, as the head of Hinduism, as a leader of Hinduism, Swamiji made sure he is keeping the Anavichinna Parampara, the unbroken tradition of making sure that the pontiffs, the supreme pontiffs, attend the Kumbh Mela festival that happens every few years once. And despite all this, Swamiji made it a point, despite all the risks that were there, despite every single thing, after such a brutal assassination attempt, do you all know what Swamiji did? Just to make sure that this tradition that has been kept alive for tens and thousands of years does not go waste. Swamiji made sure he went and attended the Kumbh Mela. Just to make sure, if Swamiji chose, he could have, if Swamiji wanted, Swamiji had a choice to choose to withdraw from everything at that point in time. Swamiji could have withdrawn. After someone puts you into a hut and tries to burn you alive, who will want to go back to that society which did everything bad to you? After you have given yourself, just imagine if each of you had given your life to one group of people. You serve that city, you serve that whole area around, you live every moment, you spend all your money feeding them. And in that same place, and the same people, if they come back, attack you, lock you up in a room, and try to literally assault you physically, what will you do? What will each of your response be at that point in time? Can I request every one of you to post in the chat? How do you think you would have responded if you were there in that same situation where everyone that you gave your life for is attacking you back? Mahongli Wong has posted, I would really hate them. I think I'd be devastated. Malisa has posted. And probably we would just give up. We would say, I am not going back. I will never go back to this. I can never go back to this. And these people don't deserve me. That is what we would have thought. If I were there, I would have probably just gone somewhere else where nobody knows me and I would have lived my life peacefully. My Krista has posted, I have compassion, but at the same time, I would have just been infuriated and given up. And Ma Hongli Wong has posted, I would have withdrawn from the society. And Ma Hongzu has posted, this is not crime against a religion group, this is crime against humanity. Exactly. Swamiji, after Swamiji was just 17 years old when he left his house, took up the path of sannyas. Swamiji was just 3 years old when he took up the path of Chaturmasya. when a person dedicates his whole life for the sake of humanity. And this is what humanity gave back. At that point, Swamiji could have just chosen to go. He could have just chosen to withdraw from the society, be secluded, and never be ever available to humanity. That would have been an easier choice. But Swamiji didn't choose that. After such an brutal, such an deathly attack on Swamiji, Swamiji's next response, just to make sure that tradition is not broken, just to make sure that, as per the Sanatana Hindu Dharma's tradition, tens and thousands of years, the sadhus, the pontiffs, the heads of various um, segments of Hinduism go and attend the Kumbh Mela representing their group. And Swamiji, especially Swamiji as Mahamandaleshwar, just to make sure that tradition is not broken, Swamiji went and attended the Kumbh Mela. Swamiji was there next in Haridwar, despite all the risks, and it was not easy. The anti Hindu elements chased Swamiji all the way, and Swamiji was attacked inside his makeshift tent in the Kumbh Mela, then hounded to the temporary hotel accommodation. And further, not just this, there was continuous hate speech being spread in the media that Swamiji was absconding. From where? There was no case, there was no complaint, there were nothing, there was no crime. The only crime that happened was the inhumane treatment that was done to Swamiji himself. But here, the media continuously demonized Swamiji in the eyes of the public. They falsely alleged that Swamiji was absconding. They framed as if Swamiji was missing from the public's eye. Swamiji was whereas very much giving interview. You all can actually see the clippings of interview. But do you all know what media did? When the media hounded and chased Swamiji up to his hotel room, they would stand right outside the room and knock the door asking Swamiji to come out. And still, Swamiji made an attempt to clarify. Swamiji tried to tell. Swamiji was trying to express himself. Do you know what the media did again? They just took each of the clipping of Swamiji trying to clarify. The media mafia chased Swamiji right from the burning quarters of SPH where he was locked inside all the way to Haridwar, right into his hotel room. You can actually see the first screenshot where they project Swamiji's hotel room live on TV. This was more than distance of 3,000 kilometers just to attack Swamiji. This is one of the most painful screenshots ever. This is a snippet of a newspaper, and I am reading out the exact lines from this newspaper which spread hate speech. But in their hate speech, they have admitted one of the most brutal truths. This newspaper, the exact lines they say, and I quote, a local journalist allegedly slapped him for giving selective interviews to some television news channels. These media channels, these so-called journalists, the local scribe, the local journalists, this inhumane media, they actually went up to Swamiji's room. They attacked Swamiji. They actually tried physically assaulting Swamiji. They tried stabbing Swamiji. But the media tried to downplay the whole thing by claiming they slapped. Can any media choose to assault someone physically, literally attack someone physically just for that person not giving interview? And this, despite Swamiji making all himself available, despite all the attacks, all the assassination attempts, despite the attempt of trying to burn Swamiji alive, Swamiji still came back, tried to clarify. And this is what the media did. And proudly, you all can see here, they are proudly displaying that they physically attacked Swamiji. This is the most brutal, most inhumane thing that can ever happen to an avatar. This is the worst thing, let alone an avatar. This is the worst thing we can do to any human being. And despite Swamiji clearly telling Swamiji is there, Swamiji is attending the Kumbh Mela, we can see how the anti-Hindu media mafia spread the hate speech continuously. They would repeat telecast the clips of the Adinams getting attacked. It is one same group that attacks. They would take this same clipping and they would keep on circulating it, replaying it all over the media again and again and again. Imagine the state of all the disciples. Imagine the state of what would have been the situation of all the sannyasis out there when they are seeing Swamiji, despite of all of this, still chose to do the Tyaga and go and attend the Haridwar Kumbh Mela. And the whole media suddenly started portraying that Swamiji was absconding. And despite Swamiji
Ma,
coming and giving continuous media
Ma,
interviews,
that was actually their strategy, Ma. We understood that through media pressure, media lies, they were trying to make the people believe that Swamiji is running away from what? And then we realized we have to file an anticipatory bail. And then we file an anticipatory bail, and our lawyer is in court submitting the petition, arguing the petition. At that time, worst below the belt thing that they could ever have done, they did. They lied in open court that our anticipatory bail petition is null and void because Bhagwan has already been arrested. That was a complete lie. If you see the timing of when we were arguing in court, and if you see the exact time when Bhagwan got arrested, they know they lied. And just with that lie, our anticipatory bail was made null and void. He's already arrested, and so there was no our anticipatory bail was made redundant. Whereas after that, only they went and illegally arrested Bhagwan. The whole thing was so new to us. The cruelty, the way these power forces can work. And then we get the news, and then we're seeing on television they're arresting Bhagwan and they're bringing him. I mean, it was like that scene when we saw when, especially in the airport, who gave? How will so many people? How will the mob be allowed in the airport on normal days? Even if you and I go and stand, they will tell you you're not allowed inside the airport. The whole thing was pre-planned. It was mob lynching in the airport. We were like watching in the television. What could we do? We were like, Ma, inside Bhagwan's ashram, when he walks, we have so many people walking around him all the time. Just for the security. We just could not see him all alone, with none of us around him. Sea of people. That too, no one is a devotee. It's like if a mother saw her kid just, with so many people all alone, because we've never seen Bhagwan alone, Ma. We've always been around him. We didn't know what they would do to him. We couldn't reach through the screen. We didn't know what to do.
So, without even a single complaint, there is no arrest warrant, and there is no grounds for an arrest. And despite you already having the sannyasis have already been applied an anticipatory bail, and which means for those of you that are not familiar with this term, anticipatory bail is something that is applied before an arrest is about to happen, and when there is no grounds for an arrest and there is no complaint, to protect the person, an anticipatory bail is applied, which means no government, no state elements, nobody for that matter can arrest a person after an anticipatory bail is received. Despite having it, the deep state elements lied to the court, saying that they had already arrested the SPH, and their plan was so strategic. The SPH was not arrested. Swamiji was in Haridwar, but their plan was so, they had already planned it. They conspired the whole thing. They came and lied to the court, like Ma Bhaktika was saying. They lied to the court, saying that they have arrested Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. After which they go brutally drag Swamiji from Kumbh Mela physically. Just Swamiji was manhandled by the deep state elements. The whole media mobbed Swamiji, and we all can see. I had just showed to all of you how they proudly put the news clippings of them physically attacking Swamiji. What amount? How inhumane can one be? How bad have we become? How much more evil can humanity stoop down to? What will give anyone the right to do that? Let alone to an avatar, to any being for that matter. They are so proudly showing to everyone how they had physically attacked Swamiji, literally tortured Swamiji continuously by flashing the clippings again and again and again. And here you all can see how proudly the newspaper clip says that they have physically attacked Swamiji. Actually, what happened was even worse. There were acid eggs. There were people carrying harmful weapons, trying to, in the name of mob attack, they were trying to sneak into the mob to assassinate Swamiji. Here we can clearly see how one of the assassins who tried to stab a knife on Swamiji, and media concealed this whole attempt by publishing a false news, concealing it as a slap. And media justified the attack, concealing that as a local journalist, and justified their brutal attack on Swamiji. To what extent have we stooped down? An avatar who has given his everything to us, only to have been receiving the worst, the most gruesome, the most inhumane thing that anyone can ever go through. It was not easy. Next, we didn't know. Swamiji was just handed over to the mob. The police literally just, the anti Hindu elements, the deep state elements literally just dragged Swamiji through the mob. The media, you all can see the kind of a violence that the whole uh, group, the henchmen that were planted there, were carrying. And Swamiji was just handed over. All the violence that they did was proudly telecasted across all media channels. There was no complaint. There was no grounds for arrest. None of these. Swamiji was targeted and Swamiji was arrested. Their only goal was one thing. They wanted to target, they wanted to somehow eliminate Swamiji. This is not today or yesterday. This has been happening over and over and over and over again and again. Everywhere they spread false news. They continuously incited so much of hatred in the eyes of the public, trying to show to the public as if everyone is hating, whereas the truth was it was only a selective group of henchmen who were there, who continuously tried to assassinate Swamiji. And we can see how instant the media continuously tried to project false news by continuously attacking our different campuses. Understand, it is just purely the compassion of the avatar that we have Swamiji accessible today. At that point in time, Swamiji could have just easily withdrawn. He could have just decided the society does not deserve me, the humanity does not deserve me. Many of you, when I asked, what would you do if your loved ones, the people whom you gave your life to, attack you or abuse you. So many of you had posted, I would have just chosen to withdraw. I would have never been able to handle. Ma Sadashivaya is saying about how she would have just withdrawn. So many of you have posted in the chat. Ma Dahananda is saying, I think I would have withdrawn from the society. And Ma Dahananda is saying, every part at that time and since has been the most inhumane of attacks on a most innocent being on planet Earth. And that's exactly how Mahong's was posted. That's exactly how crimes and manipulation and bully are done. Always portray the ones they target as bad and then take action in the name of taking justice or revenge. That is exactly what is done, not today, not yesterday. Hundreds of years, for hundreds of years. I showed you all the statistics from the last 1 century. How every time when they want to attack, they isolate them. They first try to show as if it is only Swamiji. And then they demonize that person in the eyes of the public, which is what they did by repeat telecasting the morphed video, which was declared morphed by the forensic labs. After which they continuously incite mob hatred by planting henchmen in each of these places and attacking these places using the henchmen by showing as if public is attacking, showing as if public is hating. And this lays the ground for justification of onslaught of attacks. What justification can a media have to go and assault anyone? And you, as I read out to the newspaper clip to you all, they put, because Swamiji chose to give interviews to some media channels, they went and attacked. This is how brazen mockery of justice is done right in front of our eyes. Literally, the worst thing that humanity can do to anyone, let alone an avatar, even any normal human being, no normal human being will even deserve this. But an avatar who has lived his life for the sake of humanity has been through this. I see so many of you. I'm sorry I'm not able to read out all of your messages. So many of you have posted the messages. My Tatiana Hughes has posted, how lucky and blessed we are now to have Swamiji. Now on this daily program with his darshan and initiation. Swamiji came to this planet for us, for his beloved soulmates, to enlighten us so we can ascend to our higher level from this suffering, from this demonic frequency of this world. My Stephanie Daters has posted, they tried this. She's posted about how they've tried it on multiple other gurus. Okay, there are a lot of messages. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm not able to read out all of your messages, but I understand completely what each of you have expressed. Even now, just to talk about it, the kind of pain that I see in Ma Bhaktika's eyes, I can completely relate with it. I mean, I have no words. Imagine what each disciple who were there along with her on that day would have felt. They didn't know what happened to their beloved Swamiji. They didn't know what happened to each of them. This is the Sarva Parityaga of the avatar. This is what an avatar is ready to take on for the sake of humanity. At that time, Swamiji didn't choose to withdraw. At that time, even when Swamiji was tortured, it doesn't end here. There's so much that happens. We will be continuing to share this with all of you. But I just want to tell you all, this is what humanity has given to an avatar who has given his everything for the sake of humanity. Every one of you that are feeling for this, every single one of you that are feeling that there is something that you need to do, there's something that you can do. Some of you are posting how we can protect Swamiji. Please understand, the only way we can protect Hinduism and we can protect ourselves from Maya, from this entire attacks, from this onslaught of persecution that is happening to Hinduism, is when an avatar is here and available to us in planet Earth. Let us not take him for granted. Let us not take an avatar for granted. Let us not allow this injustice to happen. If we all stand up to create Kailasa, to establish Kailasa, we will create political legitimacy to Hinduism. Imagine how, without complaint, how can anti Hindu elements, the deep state elements, just barge in and attack a person? How can they arrest Swamiji without a complaint? There was no complaint. You all should know there was no victim. In fact, there was no crime. There was no case even. And still, they were able to attack and illegally arrest Swamiji and falsely portray as if they're doing some great justice to humanity. All this is happening because there is no political legitimacy to Hinduism. Hindu gurus are under attack. Every single Hindu guru that is standing up is being attacked. We saw how many gurus are dying, one after the other, one after the other. To this day, as I talk to you all now, there are many enlightened masters and gurus that I can name you who are suffering in prison. If alone Swamiji would have not stood up, if alone at that point in time, if Swamiji would have, I don't even want to go to that situation. I just want to tell we would have not had an avatar. We would have not had Swamiji with us. And despite all of that, it is Swamiji's eternal compassion that he chose to come back and give himself back to humanity. The only request that I have for every one of you who are asking how you can do what you can do, take a step from your side. Every single time you see this, remember, remind yourself. If we, me, you are sitting having a place to enjoy, talk about the glory of Hinduism, enjoy the gifts from Hinduism, it is all the attacks that Swamiji took on himself as a shield and the gifts that he gave to us. The only thing we can do back to such an avatar is create Kailasa so that no more gurus are attacked in the future. Swamiji wants to build Kailasa, create the political legitimacy for Hinduism, so that what Swamiji went through, no other gurus who stand up for Hinduism in the future has to go through. Even now, Swamiji is working only for humanity, only for us. Let us stand up. Let us all become the pillars and strength. And let us make Kailasa happen. Every single one of you that are here, sitting here with us, take an avatar has done the Sarva Parityaga from his side. Now you do what you can. If you are able to take sannyas, and if you feel there is someone whom you can inspire, whom you can make a part, every single person that you know, inspire them. Let us all stand up. Understand, this is not just some independent one group that is trying to build a nation for themselves. No. Swamiji is standing here and building, taking all of it for us, the 2 billion Hindus. Every single time, whether it is now, whether it is during the invasions, the only policy that was used mainly was isolating. Even now, so many common Hindus are under the delusion believing it is happening only to one organization, one guru. They isolate and try to portray as if it is just one segment. We should just stop being in this criminal negligence and delusion. We just need to wake up to the reality. Swamiji is the last hope, the only hope that Hinduism has right now. Every one of us, each and every one of you sitting here, and every single Hindu out there is responsible to stand up and protect. Let us, whatever you can, whether you can become part of Sarvagnya Pita, or whether you can inspire others to become part of Sarvagnya Pita, or whether you can inspire others to become sannyasi, you take a step. Inspire the Hindus around you to take a step. Yes, hope all of you had a few minutes to sign up. Anywhere, if any of you need support as well, you can sign up at sksjp.org and our team will reach out to you all. See, to many of you, I was just going through the chats in all the rooms. I see many of you ask one question. What can we do? Like, why has Swamiji done this tyaga? Why is Swamiji taking on so much on himself? There is one question, why? Please understand. I just wanted to answer from whatever little knowledge that I have with whatever I think, how I look at this. If you just see, all these attacks are happening, whatever said and done. But in the last so many years that I have been with Swamiji, not once, not even once, I have seen Swamiji's inner space falter. Never, not once I have seen Swamiji ever say, we have to take revenge on them for what they have done. The only response I have seen Swamiji give is, how can we expand? How can we grow more bigger? How can we contribute more and more? Please understand, this is exactly Ajayatva, the space of invincibility. Today we all learnt about Subramania's inner space, right? We're all preparing for Ajayatva initiation, right? This is exactly what is Ajayatva. Swamiji said, one of the most beautiful answers from Swamiji that I always cherish the most. Swamiji said, even when Swamiji went through the so-called most brutal things that human, of course, Swamiji's avatar. For Swamiji, nothing really touches his inner space. But even when life presented the most worst and brutal situation to Swamiji, Swamiji said, I only stood back. I never questioned Pati. I only questioned the Pashu and Pasha, never questioned the Pati. Swamiji is just the living example of what it means to have a powerful inner space, what it means truly to never ever fall into any of the powerlessness, even when life presents the so called worst situations. See, many of us here, when I ask this question, almost every one of us, even if I were you, I will just think if someone does this to me, I will also think, better let me just withdraw from the society. I will never go back. That is the human way of thinking. That is why an avatar comes down, takes the burden of living amongst us in this society, under the societal framework. He goes through all the attacks and persecution and still comes out of it powerfully, continues to contribute only to show humanity one thing. When I can do this, you too can do this. Just to remind us of our own possibility. When we see Swamiji, and when each day I see Swamiji sitting there with that same smile, that same love to humanity again, I just remember what compassion. And this is exactly what Swamiji demonstrates to humanity again and again and again. Today there are so many murders, so many things that happens. But here, see Swamiji on the other side, how no matter what society has presented to Swamiji, no matter what inhumane things society has done to Swamiji, everything that Swamiji has been subject to, still Swamiji's inner space is never shaken. When Swamiji gives back, Swamiji is not calculating. Swamiji is not saying, oh, these people supported me, let me give back to them. The very same place that attacked Swamiji, to this day, that same Tiruvannamalai campus from which Swamiji was chased and the whole mob broke into the campus, that same campus continues to serve Annadan. I mean, there's so much that I can go on telling, but this is the essence for each of us to learn. Today, this is the exact initiation we are receiving, the Ajayatva Diksha, where the exact inner space that Swamiji has, Swamiji is going to be mirroring that powerfulness into us. Wow, what an initiation to receive, right? This precisely, this powerfulness, this tyaga, this compassion, I don't know what word to use for it, but that most profound inner space that Swamiji has, That is the exact initiation that we, you, me, all of us are going to receive today. Let us all get ready for this initiation. To every one of you that are sitting here with us, each and every one of you, we are really, really blessed. One, we have an avatar who is available, who's making himself so available, stretching himself to beyond his maximum capability to make himself available to us. And second, his only purpose is to make us become like him, to make us reflect the same space that he is in, our highest possibility. Today's initiation is exactly this. Let us all prepare for the initiation. I request every one of you to please bring turmeric or chandan, sandalwood powder, or kumkum or bhasma. Now, we are going to be receiving two initiations today. One is the Ajayatva Diksha, which means initiating, receiving that inner space of Subramanya, Swamiji's own inner space, that powerful, invincible inner space. We're going to be, Swamiji is literally going to be initiating us, infusing us with that powerfulness, that inner space. And we are going to be receiving the Subramanya Aushadha, which means we are going to be drawing the Subramanya Yantra on this particular plate of powders that each of you have arranged. And you are going to be receiving the initiation. So basically, Swamiji himself will be energizing that particular Aushadha, and Swamiji will be infusing his own bioenergy into that for us to receive that powerfulness through this particular Aushadha. So I'm going to be showing all of you what you're all seeing here is a Subramanya Yantra. Now that each of you have bought, whether you have a plate of kumkum or sandalwood or bhasma or turmeric, whichever one that you have, please draw on that the exact yantra as you all can see, which is projected to you all. We'll give you all a few minutes. We request every one of you to please take a few minutes and draw it out. Let us all get ready for this very, very, very powerful initiation. prepare ourselves to receive the inner space of Bhagavan Subramanya, the Ajayatva Diksha. Let us all chant the Dhyana Shloka of Soma Skandamurti. दक्षालम्बितवामनिद्रितपदं कृष्णं मृगं चाभयम् टङ्कं चाधदथं वरं च कटकैर्बिभ्राणया वामके वामालम्बितनिद्रितयान्यपदया देव्यायुतं मध्यतः स्कन्देनाब्जकरद्वयेन सहितं सोमागुहेशं भजे. Today, all of us are going to be showered, blessed with this most powerful inner space of Swamiji himself, the Ajayatva initiation, and we're going to be empowered with this ultimate boon of manifesting that invincibility. And we are going to be receiving the Subramanya Aushadha, the energized turmeric powder or sandalwood powder. And also, we are going to be having a very special process of the initiation where Swamiji will be churning the Kundalini energy in us through the Idakala Nadi, the Pingala Nadi, and the Sushumna Nadi. We actually learned about this yesterday, right? In the Healer's Initiation Day. We learned about the Nadi channels, the energy channels, and we saw the three main Nadis in our body. And all of us learned in the session about Somaskanda, Tyagaraja, the Lord, the deity that presides over the Swargaloka, and how actually Tyagaraja is Somaskandar. Somaskandar is Tyagaraja. And there's a particular type of a dance that they have the deity and they do, which represents this exact process, the churning of the Idakala Nadi, the Pingala Nadi, and the Sushumna Nadi. And through this, Swamiji will be churning our Kundalini Shakti. This is a very, very powerful process. Swamiji will be awakening, infusing the cosmic Kundalini into us through this particular process. So, every one that are sitting here, let us all take a few minutes. And all of you that have finished drawing, if you all have finished drawing, please, can you all put yes in the chat? Once all of you who have finished drawing the yantra, is there anyone else? Sorry for the technical glitch. I think the male body's room has lost our feed. The female body's room has lost our feed in some of the rooms. Yes, Ben Saunders, I apologize for that. I see many of you posting. We are attending to it. My sincere apologies. Ma Shanti, Ben Saunders, and Jovan, please give us a few minutes. We are fixing it. You will be having a slide pack with you all. For those of you that missed, that were not able to, I understand some of you have missed. You are all not able to draw the yantra. Our sincere apologies. We will be projecting the yantra again for all of you. Please take a few minutes. Do not worry. We'll give you all enough time to prepare for the initiation. Please make sure you're all taking a few minutes and please draw the yantra. Yes, do not worry. We request the Ananda Sabha, the Sarvadarshan participants to please bear with us and thank you all for your patience. We are fixing and working on it right away. You will be having our feed restored. And till then, in all the other rooms who have still not drawn, some of you have requested for some more time. We will give you all a few more minutes. Please draw this yantra. It's a very, very important preparation for the initiation. Please take a few minutes and please draw. Yes. Hope all of you were able to finish your yantras now. Beautiful. Yes. Now the time has finally come for us to receive this most profound initiation, the initiation into invincibility, Ajayatva. Let us get ready. Let us all get ready to receive this very powerful initiation directly from the Nija Avatara, the very embodiment of Paramashiva, our beloved Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Please sit straight. I request everyone to please settle in front of the camera. Please settle down. Sit with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Close your eyes. Connect to Swamiji in the deep space of gratitude. Let us all chant the Mahavakya. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda